All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to support session of this Saturday. And the main agenda of this session would be to discuss these questions quickly, and then once we are done with the list, we will move on to other open questions, if any, from the team. Okay. Then, in fact, I really did not go through the list. I have to just take these questions ad hoc. Now we will deal with the first question. What is PI planning and what does a SM do in it? How many of you know what is PI planning? Yes.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
be
program implement.
okay. PI is nothing but program increment. Okay. It is a part of SAFe, or it is uh, it is practiced in SAFe Agile, where you will be planning for 3 to 4 or on an average 4 to 5 regular sprints. Planning is done in advance. Okay, let's say for example, you have one sprint. After one sprint, the second sprint is planned, then third sprint and fourth sprint, right? However, in PI planning, what do you do? Do you remember the sheet that I gave you? The capacity calculation sheet. How many of you remember?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Gurgaon.
So in that sheet, you will be able to see sprint 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. Generally, in PI planning, you will have 4 regular sprints plus 1 IP sprint. And what is IP sprint? Yes.
Innovation
Innovation
and planning.
practice.
Right. Innovation and
And
planning. Okay. Now, why this innovation and planning? Because it is a part of Agile to encourage team to come up with innovative ideas to solve the business problems. To give you a small brief, team can also work on items that are not a part of requirement, right? But can help the business to solve the problems. Let's say, for example, in my current organization, we are working on a dashboard, and the dashboard will help people to access data by avoiding multiple steps which they are currently using, and that is a part of innovation. And sometimes your innovation or innovative ideas can become a business product also. You never know, right? We had what was the name of Google Pay earlier?
GP.
No.
Tez.
Yes.
Tez.
Days, right? Now remember, somebody developed Days and it was so quick, the UPI payment app. Google immediately realized its value and now it took over. It was sold to Google Pay, right? I mean, it was sold to Google. Do you see the Google Pay getting used now? It has become a prominent part of Google as a business, right? And it maybe it was one of the innovative ideas from someone. So this is the way to encourage people to come up with innovative ideas, and they can always make it useful for the business. So PI planning is uh, keep it basic. PI is program increment. It is a part of SAFe, and the planning is done for 4 to 5 sprints in advance, where we have 4 regular sprints and a fifth sprint will be IP sprint, which is reserved for the innovation work. That's all. Nothing much you will have to do. And the role of SM would be to plan for the sprints, right? So what will you plan? You will plan the capacity for the entire 3 months duration, or for the duration of all the 5 sprints, and you will plan the load accordingly. Okay, your velocity, capacity, everything gets calculated for all the 5 sprints together, right? Instead of one sprint, you are doing the planning for 5 sprints here. Now, moving on to the next question. In the interest of time, we will complete the questions. Others, please go on mute, whoever is not there, whoever is not talking.
So Balram, same issue. I cannot see your screen. It happened last time, right?
Oh, okay. Any which way, you have the list of questions, right? So we're discussing the same.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So we will continue here. What are what are your major achievements as SM that you have achieved? Okay, you can talk about any two. Always remember, talk about any two achievements very clearly. Maybe you can talk about, let's say, I will again relate it to the dashboard only that our team is working on. Talk about something that your team has innovatively worked on and that has been implemented as a feature. If you are not a part of SAFE, you can still talk about, let's say, successful delivery of releases or release items, or stability of team, or maybe making the team self-organized from being a chaotic team to organized team. On achievements front, you can talk about anything that you think you have achieved as an SM. To put it in simple way, as a beginner, you talk about a reduced spillovers, okay, and more organized team compared to earlier. After taking over and after me taking over the team, these are the differences that I'm able to see immediately in the team, and definitely that was an outcome of consistency that I the efforts that I put consistently for my team, making it more self-sufficient, self-organized, and the plans getting implemented to mitigate what mitigate the spillovers. Probably you can talk about many other things, but stick to the basic two, which you are very clear when there are more questions coming on the same, right? Milestones that you have created, milestones for you that you have created. Okay, so it could be anything, right? Maybe your milestone could be to become an agile coach or senior scrum master, or maybe an RT, release train engineer. Okay, so you have to talk about whatever goals you have set for yourself down the line. Maybe there is no harm in saying that, let's say if somebody has 4 or 5 years, not 4 or 5 years, maybe 15 years of experience if you hold, for someone who has very good experience. So maybe you can say, uh, my milestone is to stay and become more strong and productive and useful scrum master for whatever team I am going to take care. And my personal milestone is to any team that I am going to be a part of, it should convert itself into a self-organized team. That will be my personal milestone, right? And then you talk about other things. If you want to say that, personally I want to grow to the level of agile coach or RT, and whatever you feel like. Milestone is simply your goal that they are willing to have. What is Jira Align? Jira Align is also a plugin. Okay, and it is also just like Jira, but it is not Jira. It is a plugin, or it is a tool, you can say, where every Scrum team tracks its dependencies and risks. Okay, Jira Align is a tool where every Scrum team tracks its dependencies and risks. Why? Why is it used? How can we not, use just Jira itself? So Jira Align is integrated in a way where other teams can see the dependencies raised on their teams. Let's say, for example, you have A, B, C, D. All four teams will have the access to Jira Align. If A team is raising a dependency on B team, B team will be able to see, okay, A has raised a dependency on us. We have to see what it is and we have to commit to it. Okay. So it is an internal tool that is accessible by all the teams. Mainly the access will be provided to Scrum Masters, RTs. Team members like developers and QA members will not have access to this. Only PO, Scrum Master and RTs will have the access. Right? Have you faced customers directly or indirectly? Say no to this answer. Because are you guys able to hear me? Yes, no.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes,
So much,
Balram.
so much silence.
Yes, Balram.
So say no to this. Reason being, if you say yes, what type of customers did you face? What type of queries? What type of feedback you got? And how did you involve yourself into implementing the feedback? All additional questions will come. So I have never faced any customers directly. However, my PO and program team and product team takes care of all the things. I never had an opportunity to face the customers directly. Yeah, indirectly we all face it because it is only on the customer's feedback that we all work, right? So I can say indirectly, sometimes we might face the customers, but we may never realize it. If I am working on a feature and that is getting implemented, if my team is working on a feature and if it is getting implemented, it means the feature came as a feedback from the customer. It means I am facing the customer indirectly. You need to articulate that answer, right? If I'm a new member and don't know anything in the agile, then how can I estimate a story, right? So firstly, there is no hard and fast rule to estimate a story in a perfect way, right? If somebody is a new member, he need not estimate anything as per his capability. First, he needs to understand how the estimation works, right? For new members, I would always encourage people to understand how the estimation and agile estimation techniques work and what estimations are, because there is no what you call there is no empirical data available, right? If somebody has never driven their vehicle to a certain place, they will not know how much time it will take. And there is no such we do not have Google like navigation for user story estimation, right? So we have to have the past experience to estimate something, right? And for new members, I can always, if there are only one or two members, the senior members can actually participate and educate the new members on estimating. They need not directly participate, they can just give their inputs. But however, any new member that becomes a part of Scrum team will slowly needs to learn the agile practices, and that slowly happens, and there is no need to push the things. Okay. What is DOR, DOD? DOR mentioned for features or user stories. DOR is, we know, right? DOR, DOD. So definition of ready and definition of done. It is mentioned. It is DOR is also there for features and user stories. It is not just for user stories. Even Epic, remember, even Epic that gets identified as a work. So Epic is broken down into stories, right? We all know this, right? This is user story. So even Epic has to be ready, means it has to be meeting definition of ready. Only then it can be picked up. Otherwise, if it is in progress or if it is not in progress, if it is in refining status, we will not be able to work on it. Okay. Right. Now moving on to why will you okay, what will you, is it what will you do or why will you do? What will you do if team is not able to deliver in sprint and few sprints? In sprints and few sprints, what does it mean? Do you want to rephrase this question, Rinki?
Yeah, Balram, like the question was like if a team is not able to perform properly in sprints and also in upcoming sprints, like you are observing the same trend from this sprint, next sprint, and like this.
Okay, so see, firstly we have to define the performance here. Okay, talk for this question, we have to answer it in such a way where we are not talking about the productivity. What will you do if team is not able to deliver? Delivery is like, it could be due to multiple reasons. Point number one is, did we do the sprint planning properly? Was every story clear to the team? Was it committed by the dependency teams if we had a dependency, right? Did we have all the resources available? Okay, did we have backup plan if the original resource went on leave? So these are the data points that as a Scrum Master I will be studying. Let's say for XYZ reason, if I identify that we had a dependency on certain team and team did not commit, and they had committed but they did not deliver, that could be a possible reason for this team to not deliver. This could be a case of one sprint. Now coming to multiple sprints, if team is not delivering consistently, it means the planning is not happening properly, and there could be a possible situation where team is not able to open up with the challenges that they have, and there is very poor coordination between PO and Scrum Master and also team members. There is no transparency, and that could be only the possible reason. So if on a on a consistent basis, if I see things not getting delivered, I have to study the root cause for each item that has not been delivered in the past, and study about what went wrong and how it was planned. So possible reasons could be these are the ones, like team is not opening up, team is overconfident, it is it is committing more work but delivering less work. Maybe it is committing more because it is not able to understand how to estimate. Possibilities are more here, right? So unless you look into data points, you will not be able to tell. So depending on what is actually causing the non-delivery of items, you are going to work on them. All right. So maybe you should talk about dependency teams and also, about the willingness of the team also. So what is the coordination that is happening? Is your dev team working, effectively or not? So will issue, skill issue, all that comes into picture here. What will you do if team is not able to deliver in sprint? Okay, this is done. What are the risk factors involved in how you will handle? Okay, there are multiple risk factors. Let's say for example, if a critical delivery is planned for upcoming release, and the related item is planned in my sprint, in the current sprint, I have to make sure there is full preparedness for the team. Means all the commitments, all the dependencies have to be committed. There should be a commitment from the dependency team, and there should be sufficient understanding for the members. And if vendors are involved, if any technical backup is needed, let's say test data provisioning, or it could be any access related issues. So all these factors together pose a risk for the delivery of an item, right? Now, how do we handle? We have to mitigate these things by making sure all the loopholes are plugged in. So how do you plug the loopholes? You take the backup plan. If a particular person working on a critical item, if he happens to be on emergency leave, who is the backup? This is the first mitigation plan. Then take the commitment from the dependency team. And what else? If let's say development work is done, validation needs to happen. Now, who is going to work on test data availability? Whether the test data is made available or not. Even before the sprint begins, the test data should be ready, because we don't want to take the risk. After the sprint has started, we will not struggle for test data provisioning. And who is going to set up the test data in lower region? Which team is in charge of that? These are the discussions that you should have with the team to mitigate and have the mitigation plan in place, right? So various risk factor. Remember, here risk means non-delivery or possibility of failing to deliver. Okay, in the agile world, the risk means non-delivery or possibility of failing to deliver a user story, which is critical for the business, right? Now, what are the dashboards and you comfortable writing user story queries? Okay, what are the dashboards? And okay, so dashboards are actually these are the representations of various data and metric. Okay, let's say for example, I want to look at the stories that are planned for next coming 2 to 3 releases. I can create a dashboard with fixed version of upcoming releases and the assignee. Means I will be able to see people. Can you go on mute, please? whoever is not talking. So I can create a dashboard which has fixed version. Okay, fixed version as in maybe for next 3 releases, whatever items are planned and who are the assignees. Okay, assignee as in, who is an assignee? Assignee is someone who is working on the
working on it. Yeah.
correct. Okay, now writing queries, right? So writing queries as in it is referred to JQL. Okay, JQL, Jira Query Language, means you can type a JQL in a customized way to get the results that you are looking for. Okay, and using JQL only we will be able to build the dashboard. All right. Now, how many sprints do you take into an account? N+1 or N+2? So always remember, it is better to take N+1. Okay, and this is a very precise question, but keep your answer very simple.
This is for what? N+1 is for what, Balram?
So N+1 as in, let's say, for example, you are delivering something, right? And you want to take time of additional sprint, okay, to deliver something. You don't want to commit to it. How do you, what you call, let's say you have something, let's say the business will come to you and they will say, okay, Ganesh, how many sprints time do you think you need to deliver this item? You have to tell them, okay, minimum I need 2 weeks of 2 sprints of time or 3 sprints of time. So that way the discussions will happen with the business. So you have to just keep it very simple. You have to tell them the estimate in terms of sprints.
So one sprint at least we should have in hand.
Correct. One sprint advance you should have in hand. Okay, before you commit.
Right.
Right. Okay, let me go to the next one.
Balram, just one question here. So if again another question related to this was like in the graph, velocity chart. So how many sprints are we showing? Like, is it one sprint or next sprint, or how is it? Like in velocity chart?
For velocity specific, you can see if this question is coming. This question can come in multiple ways, right? So if it is if it is related to estimations, then definitely you will have to give the way I told you just now. If it is velocity specific, take 4 sprints or 5 sprints or 3 sprints.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. You can because you are going to basically talk in terms of past data, right? Let's say for example, if you talk about PI, the general agreement is we will take 2 PI to arrive at velocity, which means how many sprints? 8 regular sprints, right? Understood?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So what are different retro?
Well, just the same doubt. I mean, this is with respect to the reports now. Okay. So the standard, what you said is understood. But then if you go to reports section and if you pull a velocity chart, how many sprints data do we have available? I didn't focus on that. I mean, just
okay. So see, the Jira is customized in what you call Jira is customized in whatever way you want to pull the report. It will allow you to pull. Okay, there will be options like 3 months data you want to pull.
Okay.
3+ months. 6 months data you want to pull. 6+ months. So all the sprints that are part of 3 months, 6 months data will be pulled and the average will be given by the Jira.
Okay. So you mean to say customizable? Okay.
Okay, that's how it is. And maybe you can just give the months by considering the backdated sprint schedule.
Got it, Balram. Okay. Thanks. Thank you. Yeah.
Now, what are the different retrospective techniques? So people.
This N+1 means like what normally for sprints delivery.
So it means N+ means current sprint. Okay, either you can go forward giving the estimation or go backward looking at the reports. Okay, current sprint plus how many sprints and plus how many sprints back. Understood? So N represents the current sprint. Understood, Naresh?
Yeah, Balram.
Right. Retrospective meetings. Okay. There are actually, to be honest, I stick to very basic answer to these questions, and I recommend you to stick to a very basic, you know, way of addressing this question. There are retrospectives people conduct starting with the quizzes. Okay, just to engage. Okay, and there are techniques like stop, start, and continue. And same is again followed by what did we do well, what we did not do well, how we can improve. So these are the questions addressed. So you talk about these techniques and mainly focus about what is that you are following as a retrospective meeting and what technique you are following. The technique is always on 3 formats. Okay, what is this 3 format? What we did well, we did not do well, and how we can improve. Now in this framework you can bring in additional things. Let's say for example, you can include the appreciation, you can include the quiz, and even I have seen people including quiz outside the Scrum framework. Let's say who was the first person who was who climbed the Mount Everest, right? Who was the first person who won the 100-meter running race? So these kind of general knowledge questions also, you can, as a Scrum Master, you can bring in and you can do the engagement activity. This is also one engagement activity related retrospective, just to engage people, to seek their attention initially. Otherwise, just if you get into the meeting and if you say, hey guys, let's understand what we did well, what we did not well, people may not always focus, hey, this is such a boring meeting, why do you think we should participate, right? So in that aspect the techniques are asked here. And retrospective is generally recommended to be conducted on 10th day, which is the last day of the sprint. Reason being, anything that happens, okay, on what did not go well, what went well, and what we can improve, that is fresh in mind. Okay, after finishing of the sprint, if you do, people might forget things about the last sprint, right? So immediately on last day it is recommended to be conducted.
So after the sprint review, we can conduct the sprint retrospective, right, Balram?
No. After on the last day of the sprint, I'm talking about last day, 10th day.
Yeah, last day only we can provide, we can give the sprint demo, right? To the
No, not necessarily. Last day, the sprint is not completed, right? So you cannot give the demo.
Okay.
Okay, all the items have to be completed and then only you will give the demo. Generally, if sprint is ending on Tuesdays, okay, after a couple of days, the demo is planned. Typically Fridays.
Okay.
Okay. All right. How do you do the capacity planning? Okay, let's talk about different retro estimation. What are the different estimation techniques? Okay, so there are multiple techniques, okay, for estimation. One of the best technique is we call it as t-shirt sizing, but it is outdated now. Nobody, it is like you categorize the stories as medium, small, and what else is coming here? Large,
Large
large,
XL, extra
and
large.
extra large. Okay, this is like how our t-shirts are our shirts are. So again, these are estimated. Okay, now the best way to estimate is Fibonacci series. Okay, we have to talk about it, and there are multiple ways to estimate the hardly the other techniques have worked well, and Fibonacci series stands good. And many people estimate in Fibonacci series, mainly reason being it is going to give the accuracy in terms of relative estimation. Okay, and each 1, 2, 3, 4. Is this right?
5,
No.
1, 3, 5.
Yes.
No.
Okay,
1, 3, 5, 8.
right. Okay, now 13. So if you look at the difference in each number, you will see an average 60% variation. Okay, which means the story sizing can be done where the variation is huge. Okay, if you compare the difference between 3 and 5, the difference would arrive at 60% of it. And difference between 5 and 8 is again 60% on an average, I'm saying. Okay, it could be 62, 65, 66, or 63. Right, when you average out, it comes to 60. Reason being, a story, if it is close to other story, the difference is consumed in relative estimation. Therefore, it is relative estimation. It is not accurate estimation. Right? Now, how do you do this capacity planning? Remember this. This is very critical. This question is very important, and the way you address the question decides whether you are actually a Scrum Master or not. There is a seasoned team. Okay, seasoned team means the team is existing, where you see the velocity. Okay, what will you do? You have the past data for this team. Therefore, you will go with velocity approach. If my team is having, let's say 30 story points, it means regardless whatsoever is the reason, my team is going to deliver 30 story points. Okay, and then if it is new team, okay, we will take capacity approach. Okay, now what is this capacity? Maybe because we don't have the past data, we will assign 5 story points per developer instead of 8. We all have 8 story points, right? As a standard estimate per person per day. Instead of that, this is not per day, this is per sprint we are going to give. So instead of 8, we may give only 5 story points, or maybe we will give only 3 story points for somebody who is not so experienced. So
Balram,
hmm,
Balram, just a quick question, Balram. So
Yeah.
this for regarding capacity planning.
hmm,
So what we treat is like, for example, we have 5 developers.
Hmm.
Okay. In the,
Hmm.
I mean, okay. In the development team, we have 5 members. So
Hmm.
ideally, we'll take 5 into 8, 40 as the capacity for the respective sprint, right? Generally.
hmm, hmm.
So considering that the team is new, instead of 8, you're saying that we'll go with the 5.
Correct.
Means
So
you
you are
will possess
reducing,
25.
you are reducing their total capacity by maybe your let's say, for example, if you take 8 for every developer, what does it mean? It is their 100% capacity.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you want to reduce that to 60% or 50%. General practice is, as a seasoned Scrum Master, if team is newly formed, we should not plan beyond 50% of their capacity.
Capacities. Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Noted. Yeah.
All right. So is this clear? Capacity planning to everybody?
Could you please repeat that again?
Okay. So Ravi, there are 2 things here. One is seasoned team. Okay, new team.
Yeah, that understood. That new team I still not clear about.
So new team as in everybody is new. All the development members are new. You don't know. It is newly formed. Okay, dev team is dev members are new, and QA members are new. So you don't know their past performance, right? Therefore, the team's velocity is not available. What will you do? You will dev 1, you will give a certain number of story points, right? Dev 2, you will give certain number of story points. Then for the entire teams, let's say, for example, if you give 8, okay, and 8 here, QA QA also you're giving 8. So what is the total capacity? 32, right? Now, instead of 32, you're going to plan for 60 story points work. You will not plan for 32 because this is 100%. You just want to plan the work which is up to this 50% of the team's capacity because it is a new team. Understood, Ravi?
Yeah, now I understood.
So
Thank you.
you have to load the work only for 50% of the total capacity, so that you start with good breathing space. Okay.
I'm sorry, Balram. I have another call-up question on this one. I just mean.
Go ahead.
So I was just hearing few things in my team. Like when we when we are actually planning for things, we have to keep. Ideally, there is no discrimination between a developer and a QA. Although we call the entire team as a development team, but when you actually plan for capacity, we'll take the developers into mind, right? There can be 80 members, but only 5 are from dev. In that case, we should only go with 40 story points, although you have 8 people in the team, because 5 are developers and 3 are QA. But just keeping that when you're planning the capacity, is that the case?
No, I'm not sure why the development QA capacity is not considered. We should be considering QA capacity and differentiate the total capacity between on the QA we have this much capacity, on the development side we have this much capacity. We should show this segregation ideally. That's the right practice actually. Okay, I will discuss with you separately. Okay, that's that may not be pertinent to interview. I will discuss with you, Ganesh. Okay.
Sure.
Right. Now, how do you do the capacity planning? It is done. Just a minute. Okay. Okay. How are user stories taken by team, and how do you as SM can make sure estimate is correct? Okay. So there is firstly there is something called as trust here. Okay. So user stories are taken. Just a minute, guys. So user stories are taken, by the team after the prioritization is done by the QA. By the PO, right? So team will not take the user stories simply out of nowhere. It will first get the list of all the backlog items, and then we will identify the sprint backlog items through refinement session. And how can you make the estimates are correct? So sometimes you will always not be able to make sure that estimates are correct. However, we can have a baseline story. We all know about baseline story, right? Against that, we have to compare how difficult and how easy a particular other story is against baseline story, right? And initially you may not know whether the estimations are correct or not. You have to take into account the past data of similar stories and then compare it. Okay, so a story with similar complexity and volume of the work, and how it was estimated, and now how the new story of the similar nature is estimated. You have to do the comparison, but here you will not be directly assisting here. Okay, estimations are correct or not, you will always reference back by looking at the past data. Okay, let's say for example, if somebody tells you I traveled Mumbai 4 times and I was able to reach Mumbai in my car in 10 hours. Suddenly if somebody comes and tells you, see, I think traveling to Mumbai would be like, it will take 2 hours. Do you agree? You will not agree, right? Because you have the past data. Understood?
Point. Yes.
Example, if impediments, yes, we know the impediments. So just give the example of anything. Impediment could be somebody's access getting revoked, or somebody suddenly going on emergency leave, or test data not being available. Somebody, let's say there is what you call there is a need to set up the test data in lower region and other team is not ready to set up, or there are dependencies or confirmations from vendor. Let's say you want to you have certain APIs to be received by a vendor and you are working on API integration work. Now if the API endpoints are not given to you, you will not be able to implement that. Even APIs have to be developed by vendor and they are not developing and delaying it. So that is also an impediment, right? So there are many things that you can talk about on impediments front. Okay, how requirements come to you, are you also part of it? So generally, as a part of sprint planning, we will get the requirements. All the requirements are directly in charge of our product owner. He brings the requirements mainly in the form of epics. And I generally connect with PO to understand what are the epics that we're planning to deliver in coming few sprints. Let's say, for example, for next 2 to 3 sprints, if there are 2 to 3 epics planned, then all those epics are broken down into user stories and they are taken up for the sprints. And generally, I am not as a SM, I am not a part of the discussions regarding requirements, and PO closely works with the business and gets the requirements. And all my requirements come through PO. Okay, how requirements come to you? Simple answer is all of them are part of all the requirements come through PO. As simple as that. Are you part of Scrum meetings? Yes. And what are learning you get to apply in your team? Okay. So Scrum is basically a meeting of multiple Scrum teams together where SMs represent the meeting. Right, there could be 10 Scrum teams, right? And business or leadership team would want to give the what you call they want the updates on a regular basis, right? What is happening in the team. So as a representation, Scrum Master will be a part of the team and he can talk about the updates, right? So definitely every Scrum Master has to be a part of Scrum meetings. It is a mandatory rule. And what are the learnings that you get? So when you listen to others giving you the updates, so you will come across what are the what other teams are doing, right? What they are working on, what are their deliverables, and you may also happen to come across best practices. So for example, one of my team was working on on some of the PR requests which were getting automatically captured. They had devised a dashboard to capture the PRs, okay, that were not progressing. So many other teams were not working the applying that practice. Now after the team shared the best practice, most of the other teams were able to implement the best practice. You can talk about any best practices observed in other teams and how you are applying the same in your team. So what are the different reports you publish? We know, a velocity report, burn down chart, and mainly the sprint report. Sprint report will contain all other reports. You can have in one sprint, you can have velocity, burn down, and blue optima scores, quality metrics, defects closed percentage, like how many defects were reported in the sprint and how many were closed, right? All those reports you can publish, and commitment reliability report as well. From reports, if you see different spillovers happening, what you say to our management? From reports, if you see difference spillover, means what is this question?
I think I have not framed it correctly. So the question is like, if you see from the reports that like frequent spillovers are happening, so how will you make your management understand, or what will you say to your management that the spillovers are happening?
Okay. So generally, whatever spillover is because of, if a spillover is let's say, for example, because of some XYZ reason, you will write the justification report. Okay, we had a spillover because we had a dependency, and dependency was already raised and highlighted. However, the dependent team did not deliver it because they had lack of resources. Maybe whatever could be the reason from their end. Okay. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. So MVP and EVP. MVP stands for minimal viable product, and EVP could be exceptional viable product. Okay, I mean, this is something I need to look into, because I don't want to give you the simply rough answer on whatever is there in my mind, but I will need to elaborate this. So exceptional viable product could be the product which is in high demand and to be released in the market on high priority. Right. So it is kind of maybe it could be like let's say there is huge demand and you want to implement or launch that with finest features. There is no lag, nothing. It could be a smallest feature, but it should give the seamless experience for the customers. So that is called exceptional viable product. Okay, I will share a different article also on this, but it is very rare to see such questions in the interview. Okay. Now, apart from Scrum, do you know what are other agile implementations? There are, we have Kanban, we have
Balram, what is MVP?
minimal viable product. MVP is the minimal features with which you will be launching the product. That is called MVP. Okay. Now, apart from Scrum, do you see what are the other agile implementations? Yeah, Scrum is more popular, and compared to other frameworks, we have other frameworks like Kanban and extreme programming, which are also part of agile implementation. Right. So there are TDD, FDD, feasibility, test driven. What you call? There is something I'm not able to recollect the
Test-driven
name.
development, TDD, right?
Test, yeah, TDD.
Acceptance, test driven development and behavior driven development and acceptance criteria driven development, right?
No.
ATDD.
So TDD is test driven development, means for every feature you will actually do the proper testing and see how it behaves, and then you implement it. So you have to talk about it in a way where you are talking and prioritizing Scrum and talking more emphasizing on the Scrum only. Okay. There are multiple agile other agile frameworks, and Kanban and extreme programming are the ones that are also popular, but not as popular as Scrum. Have you worked in Kanban? Say no. Simplest answer, no. And what is Kanban? Say it. Kanban is again a framework where it is chosen where the workflow is continuous, where the work is continuous. Okay, mainly to support operations. Okay, for operational work, Kanban is used. If a team member is new joined, how will you explain in Agile and what making part of retro meetings? Okay, so take the example of take any simple example to explain what is Agile and how it is getting implemented. Okay, now definitely he has to be a part of retro meetings to understand how the meetings take place, and you can talk about an example of WhatsApp, you can talk about the example of Google Pay, and there are many things that you can take as a discussion point to explain how the Agile is getting implemented. Okay. why sprint why is sprint, what is this?
That is a typo. Why is sprint of 2 weeks?
Okay, and not 3 weeks if you have. Okay. Oh, did you get this question?
Yeah, I think we have discussed in our what is it?
I know.
Mock-up sessions. We have already discussed.
Correct. So sprint 2, basically sprint of 2 weeks is planned because that is a sufficient time. Okay, not too less, not too more. Okay, to deliver the items. And 3-week sprint is something which is not recommended because that is not an empirical model, and generally instead of 3 weeks the recommendation is for 4 weeks sprint. Okay. So you can talk about those things. Stick to only 2 week sprint. Tell them the benefits of 2 week sprint. Okay, which gives you the feasibility of accommodating. In 1 month period, the 2 weeks time is accommodated, right? 2 weeks sprint is accommodated in 1 month period. If you go with the 4 weeks sprint, then only one sprint is accommodated in 1 month. Now coming to out of 12 agile principles, which are the ones which you think are important and why? Talk about every agile principle is important, right? So mainly talk about the change, embrace the change, right? So talk about it because that is the foundation on which agile principles are built. Reason being, everything that comes as a part of implementation through agile is because of the changes in the market and changes in the customer requirements, right? And I think that is the major principle that we have to focus on, and that principle gives the reason for other principles to sustain and survive. Okay, take any one principle out of 12 and talk about it. I would recommend about the change principle. You have to talk, and it is easy to talk about it. TIA concepts and explain each. What is this TIA concept?
Hey, Balram, you only told, right? Transparency, adoption, we can make it as
Okay, see, I told, I forgot. TIA. Okay.
Empiricism of
Transparency, inspection, and adaptation, right? So these are pillars of empiricism, right? So let's say, for example, if a team is transparent, everybody knows what is happening and what others are doing. It becomes easier for for the team to work and deliver things easily. And inspection is a way to look at what is not working and how we can improve things to make things work. And adaptation is when you plan to make things work. What is that you want to adapt? Right? You have identified, okay, these are the things we need to change. So does it just help in changing things or making sure you are adapting to those changes? Right? So talk about those lines, and it is easy to talk about these three pillars of empiricism. What are the Scrum values? We know about Scrum values. I need not tell you. Scrum events, Scrum artifacts. How are the PBIs in your team? Okay, how are the PBIs as in how are you making sure?
I told it's in form of user stories. In
Product.
Product backlog items.
So yeah.
Okay, so generally the question will be, how will you ensure the healthy backlog is maintained in your team? So you have to talk about all the backlog items undergo through the refinement process, and unless that is fully refined and is ready for the sprint, we don't pick up the item. Even if something is not ready for the sprint, we still keep refining the backlog items. Okay, and what you said is correct. They are all all the backlog items are in the form of user stories.
Balram, what are the things that you have encountered in the refinement session? Means, can we tell that splitting of the big stories into small stories and a proper estimation is done?
That is not encountering things. Okay, that is when you say encountering, it is about what are the challenges you faced.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, intent of the question is different.
Okay. So normally, can we say in the what are the things that have done or you will see in the product backlog refinement? Means,
Yes. It could be splitting of stories can be told.
Splitting, estimation, and prioritization.
Right.
These are the three things, right? Apart from this, can I tell any other things?
Again, giving clarity to the team members, clearing any open doubts.
Okay, clearing any open doubts and giving clarity. Okay.
Yeah. 1 minute, guys. Okay, what happens before the sprint planning and how requirements come to you? Okay, so during the okay, this is the 30-second question. What is the role of SM after sprint is completed and till deployment? So after the sprint is completed, SM has to make sure all the sprint items are ready for the release that are completed from the sprint, and they are they are undergoing all the regression testing, and all the automation script is ready and completed before the deployment happens. Okay, basically you have to ensure that these items are holding complete readiness to be released. Okay, so every item that gets completed in the sprint has to move in the status of release ready. Then it gets deployed. Okay, what happens before the sprint planning and requirements comes to you? Okay, so there is nothing, right? Before the sprint planning, you will keep refining do the refinement, and you pick up those refined items in the sprint backlog, and you continue to deliver those items which are a part of sprint backlog, because they are the ones which are prioritized by the Scrum Master, sorry, the PO. SM is a facilitator, and we know, and what about other roles you play in? Okay, so it is SM does not, the role of SM does not just end with being facilitating. There are so many blockers that you have to look at. You have to pitch in if there are blames coming on the team. If there are any challenges faced by the team, you have to talk to the leadership and sort them out. It could be, as a Scrum Master, you just don't play one role, you play multiple roles. You get to wear multiple hats. You are a facilitator, you are a coach, you are the motivator, right? You are the trainer, you are the teacher for the Scrum team. Okay, we don't have to solve problems every day, General. So what do you rest of the time? Right, you coordinate, you collaborate, you talk to the team members on the sprint readiness, or release readiness, and the backlog refinement, and requirements and future work. So many other discussions that happen, right? You if you are a problem solver as a Scrum Master, it does not mean you are always solving the problems, right? There are so many other things that you take care of. What is hot fix? We discussed it already, right? After the code freeze, if there is a change in the code, we have to go through our approval process, and that approval is called as hot fix. How do you handle the spike in your team? So generally, spikes are handled, just like any other user stories. After they are also estimated, and whatever scope is defined in the spike story, this team will continue to work to that extent and make it ready.
Balram, can you tell spike in the small thing, a small line, so that we can easily
see, spike is a story where you have actually the requirement is there with you. Okay, this is what we have to achieve, but technically there is no solution designed yet. You don't know how to fix that, how to develop that feature. Let's say, for example, the requirement is to build a flying car, but you don't know how to actually make a car fly. You're working on the design, technical things, and many other things, right? So to whatever extent you can think of, you are going to develop and make it ready. And spike story does not end with one story. There could be multiple stories following with the first spike story. And it could be even possible that spike story could be just to study about the impact of recent implementation. Okay, we want to just study, okay, we implemented a feature, how it is positively, negatively impacting the user experience. We could have a spike story on that front also. Okay, so basically you have a requirement, but you don't know how to design a solution for that, and scope is defined in a limited manner. Technical feasibilities are still not completely available, so that is called spike. Okay, let's go ahead to next one. If a new member is not willing to join daily stand-up, wasting time, okay, just talk to that guy. Okay, understand what is the reason, and most of the times, 90% of the times, if you talk, you will be able to sort it out. If he's still not joining, then it is a will issue. You have to talk to leadership and sort it out. There are protocols to be followed, and it has to be followed. There is no going back from that, right? And what is Scrum principle? We already know. What is lean thinking? Lean thinking is just it is a way to avoid wastage. right? So are we developing the features that are not adding value to the customers? Are we simply developing something which is actually, good to have feature? Okay, if you look at Masco technique of prioritization, you have must have, should have, could have, and will not have. What if you work on features that are good to have? Customer is not asking, but business is thinking it is good to provide this. So that, that kind of waste can be avoided through lean thinking. And it is, the safe and Scrum is also one of the, lean thinking methodologies, where we focus on what is immediately available and value adding to the customers. Difference between Agile and Scrum: Agile is a methodology, Scrum is a framework. Have you worked with different teams and single team? Okay, say just you are working with single team, and if you are confident you can manage to say more than one team, say you have two teams. But never say that your team is working, in different time zones. It will invite more questions. Say that your team is working in the same time zone. If it is in India, it is in India. So you will avoid lot many questions. Okay, how do you track risk metrics for your leadership team? Okay, there is Jira Align, right? So we raise the risk, and we track all the metrics from that Jira Align tool only. So the other way is to calling out the metric by writing an email to the leadership team, calling out the risk, right? If there is a, let's say if a particular team is not providing the confirmation or test data availability is not coming, then you call out that, writing an email. Actions from retro and how do you implement it? Yeah, just as a part of retro board, create an additional category of action items, and look at each action item that you have promised to work on, and report the status by the time you get into the next retro meeting, which means you have worked on it and you are still working on it, or it still remains open. What is that? If you are closing, let's say for example you wanted to implement some best practice, so did you do that or not in the current sprint? From the past sprint you identified the action item, right? If you have implemented, then just say action item implemented and closed. Do you see or did you show all the user stories review, or only few planned in user stories? Okay, what is this question, Ricky? Did you
The
show all
question
user
like
stories
is,
review, or only
so in
planned
the
user
review,
stories? Hmm.
so in the review, are we showing all the user stories or only few user stories to the stakeholders?
Why? I mean, what is your understanding? So
I
let's say for
told like we
example,
pick, yeah.
sprint, let's say for example, sprint, in the review we always talk about whatever we have achieved in the sprint. Okay, so what is the outcome of the sprint? It is increment, right? So this increment could be resulting from 4 user stories. So you always talk about that increment, right? You will never show all the user stories. You will talk about what you have achieved in this sprint in the review. Okay, does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah.
All
Program,
right.
just one more question. What is time to market? Like,
Okay, time to market is basically, let's say it is, let's say for example, sales team has sold the feature or product to be launched in 6 months. Okay, let's say for example you have you are coming up with a new product, and you have started advertising and everything, right? So after the sales are done, how much time does it take to to build the product and to test it, and then to take it to the market? Means till the time your product is launched to the market, what is the cycle period that you are going to engage your product in? Okay, so from the time the idea is identified to build a product, how much time does it take to transform that idea into a material thing, into a product that is usable for the user? And then how much time does it take to take it to the market. So that is time to market. Understood? Basically, the word itself tells you, right, Rinki? Do you have any other questions or confusions? I mean, I'm sure you have understood it. Any follow-up questions, Rinki?
No, understood it. So any process improvements or best practices, so what can we say, Balram?
Best practice process improvement, you can always say about spillovers, mapping. Let's say, for example, if there are any spillovers happening due to some continuous non-delivery of committed items by a particular team, so you bring in the transparency. Let's say, for example, you can have a regular meeting every alternate day, have a meeting with the commitment teams. Generally what happens is, let's say your dependency team has committed to deliver certain item by so and so date. Now after taking the commitment, if you don't communicate at all with the dependency team, you will not know whether the team is going to deliver or not, right? So it is better to have a every alternate day connect, maybe for 15 minutes. Okay, hey, look, this is the commitment you have given. I hope you guys are on track to commit and deliver this. They would say, yes, we are on track and we're working on it. Sometimes people have the tendency to forget things because of their priority items. See, it could be possible that even you might be, committing certain things to other team. A team can depend on your team also. It's not always you are depending on other team. Maybe other team is dependent on you, right? And what does it mean? What will you do if you commit certain things to other team? You will always prioritize your sprint items over the committed items. Do you all agree? So your committed items can take a back seat sometimes. Therefore, the best process improvement could be you uh, uh, you uh, you having a regular meeting with the with the team that is committing things. And other things could be like, let's say, developing a standard automation script development process. Let's say let's say a user story has 10 test cases, and out of those 10 test cases there are 5 test cases that can be automated. Okay, are you reviewing the script that is developed for automating those user stories? Is that script added to the regression suite or not? Is your regression suite healthy or not? So how does that help? That will help you as a process improvement during your regression testing in the deployment, right? All you need to just do is just you know uh, run the regression suite, and all the regression testing will happen on the user story that is going to be deployed, including the prior features. Okay, so there are many process improvement ideas that we can discuss.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Okay. And process improvement need not always be only process specific. It could be just a it could be just people specific also. You can talk about daily reporting structure also, like you publish the reports on a day-to-day basis to the team, building more transparency, right? What we did yesterday in the form of dashboards also you can publish. You can show daily burn down chat also, right? There are so many things that you can talk about, but let's not get into too much complexity. Keep simple. Okay, and yeah, I think we are done with all the questions. Just before we wrap up, I have one couple of things to tell you. Always speak as if you are a newbie in the Scrum world. Do not set very high expectation, and keep things very simple. If you don't know something, you don't know. And always give the discreet message to the interviewer that you are still a newbie in the Scrum world. Show all your willingness to uh, become a part of show your willingness that you are willing to learn and explore more on Scrum front as a Scrum Master, but still you are not that that experienced guy or girl. Okay, so we will always keep in mind only 3 years of experience, and with that experience only we will talk. Okay. All right. So with that note, I think we are already over time, and I will stop the recording now.